Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 56, part 3, and the conclusion of our hunting special. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross, with the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Bandwidth for this episode is brought to you by Action Target. I have with me today TJ and Chad Wallace. How's it going, guys?
It's going good here. How about you, TJ?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good myself, Ryan. How about yourself?
Oh, not bad. Has anyone been
I'm doing
shooting
good.
lately?
How are you guys doing?
Good. Has anyone been shooting lately?
Not me.
Or done anything in guns?
All I did was carry
Yeah,
a
I haven't.
shooter. That's about it for me here.
Yeah, I haven't.
Cool. Well, I went shooting the other day. I actually got to shoot a buddy's 338 Lapua at 600 yards, which was really awesome. Then I got to shoot my own 308 at the same ranges and kind of get that tested out. There was no breeze, so it was pretty easy shooting at steel. I haven't done any hunting. I think I'm going to try and find a Yogi Bear this weekend, but that's about it. So let's get right into the announcements. We've still got the Negrini compact handgun case that we're giving away. All you need to do to enter to win is leave us this podcast an iTunes rating and review. So go to iTunes and search for the Gun and Gear Review podcast, and then we'll leave us a review. And make sure you email me, cross@firearmsradio.tv, with your name, iTunes username, and your shipping address, and then you'll be entered to win. So the deadline is going to be the 25th of this month, November, and so you have, let's see, you have a little less than 2 weeks, and then the 28th, when the podcast drops, we'll be announcing the winner, unless you've listened to it live on YouTube earlier. So make sure you get in on that. Let's get right into the new product spotlight, and this is a hunting configured AR-15 from Rock River Arms. Have you guys taken a chance to look at this?
Yeah. Well, first off, can you hear me good? It seems like I was breaking up a good bit earlier.
Yeah, it's just I think you've got a little bit of latency, so I think when I pose a question, we'll kind of wait for you to add input, unless you pass it on to Chad. That way we don't interrupt each other.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, I'll start. Yeah, I was actually looking at this earlier. It seems to be. It's got a lot of options right out of the box. What do they call this coating? Is Wily Hide? I'm not sure if that's specifically named. I guess Wily Coyote, I guess, is what they're trying to get at, because it's supposed to be coyote patterned, but it's not a dip pattern like we're used to. It's actually anodized in somehow. You guys take a look at that?
Yeah, I just don't. I guess I've seen anodizing similar on paintball guns, but usually it's bright colors.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's the same kind of process, which I know nothing of anodizing, so.
Yeah, I think it's like a chemical bonding to the aluminum. So I guess it's pretty cool. I don't think I've seen anybody do these patterns like this, intricate at least.
Yeah, but, it's a hard coat, so it's good that it won't, not as susceptible to scratching or wearing like traditional dipping graphics are.
Yeah. Did we mention? I'm not sure. We did say that there is a Rock River Arms.
Yeah.
And they call it the LAR-15 Hunter.
Yeah, they call all their AR-15s by LAR.
Right. I was kind of...
Yeah, it looks like it's got the forward upper and lower with the 16-inch 1-9 barrel. I guess that the 1-9 is supposed to be a little better for lighter projectiles, isn't it?
Yes. So you wouldn't be shooting the heavier, like 62 grains out of these. You'd probably be more on the 50 or the 55 range. I wouldn't exceed 55 grains. Maybe 60, but there's a chance that it's not going to be ideal. So it's kind of like a little tactical build that they put together, and then they've put this really awesome camo on there that is kind of like their coyote-based camo. They do have another one that's kind of more of a woodland camouflage. It's a little bit more green in it. If you're not in like a desert type environment and you don't want something as bright and tan. All this doesn't look all that bright, but if you want something more in the darker green range, they do have that alternative. But yeah, it's got an operator, car stock. It's got a Hogue rubber grip. They're a two-stage trigger that they usually put in everything. That's a pretty good AR trigger. Low profile gas block so that the handguard is free-floated. It's mid-length. It's got a really gnarly tactical muzzle brake on there. And then it's optics ready, definitely. I think if this was meant for coyotes, I'm surprised that they went with a 16-inch barrel. Usually, you'd want, if you're shooting further, you'd want an 18 or a 20-inch barrel with a mid-length gas system or rifle-length gas system. But maybe this is meant for more like ease of use, getting in and out of your truck to shoot at a varmint. Or if you live in a state that you can take a deer with a 22 caliber.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that. The one thing that
it's actually legal here too, Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
One nice thing.
Chad.
One not nice thing I noticed is if they could have dipped the stock to match the rest of it, or somewhat, that would have made a nice touch to the rifle.
Yeah, I think that it's like a digitalized imagery that's applied through their anodizing, and so it just wouldn't work on a plastic stock. They could have very well done it to the barrel if they wanted to, and some magazines, but they didn't do that. I would at least have, maybe if it matches like Flat Dark Earth a little bit better, at least had the stock, provide a Flat Dark Earth stock and grip maybe, but those things are typically in your shoulder anyway, so if you're worried about like the deer or the coyote or whatever like seeing you because you've got a dark black stock, it's just not going to happen if you're wearing camouflage clothing. So I guess it's just all the looks for us, the gun guys. One nice thing is they also offer us a one-piece cantilever scope mount in the same camouflage that's been anodized on there. And they do have that. They're both high, and they're both they've got a 1-inch and a 30 mil. So I would those are $85 each. So you're looking at an MSRP for the gun at $1,550, so $1,550. Throw in the extra $85 for a good scope mount that's the same color as the rest of the receiver and handguard. I'd definitely go for that too. Then again, you could get a cheaper AR and have it dipped too, but I think if you're the kind of guy that wants to, get attention at you're kind of like a range diva, or you just kind of, like people turning heads when you walk by with the firearm, then this would be one for you too. I think it's cool.
I kind of had one of the that same kind of complaint like Chad said. Why didn't they go ahead and do the stock while they were at it? But I guess it is that anodized, so they can't anodize a plastic stock. So.
Yeah, I figured they may have dipped it or something. I figured they may have dipped it.
Dipped it to match.
Yeah.
One thing I think they should have done too is extend the rail a little bit. Maybe put a rifle length rail on there, or I think they have a mid length handguard on it, but.
Yeah, that makes sense too. If you
I think they should have put it.
Yeah, if you want to put like a bipod on there or anything like that, have it be a little bit farther out. They are in limited quantities, so they are in stock now. But once they run out. I think they probably anodized just a limited number. So once they sell out, they're gone for good until there's a major calling for them to come back into stock.
Does it
One
say how
thing
many?
I would like to see, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I would like to see is different calibers. I mean, they've got 223, 308, 6.8, 458 SOCOM. They've got those different calibers. Why didn't they offer that chambering for this particular one? Because a lot of people live in states that are restricted to no hunting big game with 22 caliber. I mean, this would work for coyotes, but if you wanted to use it for deer, you'd have to live in those lucky states where they trust you to make a well-placed shot with a 22 caliber and get the job done. But this and like a
Yeah.
458 would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think mainly that is just because, like you said, it is a special run, so they maybe just made them just to throw something new and different out there and let it just let those sell out and see how well they do. Maybe if they do well, they'll come out with another run of them in different calibers. But I imagine, well,
Yep.
no, it does say it's only available in a full rifle, so I guess you couldn't do it that way, because I know Rock River Arms kind of does their rifle configurator kind of thing, don't they, where you just kind of go down the list and pick what you want.
Yeah, but I think you can only get this as a complete rifle because that's
Yeah.
what it says. It's not available
Yeah, it
as
actually
individual
says that.
parts or assemblies.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think they could do pretty good with just selling the upper, lower, and the handguard and letting you configure the rest the way you want it. If this particular pattern sells well.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, go on over to rockriverarms.com and then go to LAR 15, and then you can see the hunters in that list. So see they've got the hunter with E-hide is what they call the other camouflaged one. I'm sorry. This one's how do you say it? Wiley hide? The other one's like Parker hide.
Yeah, I think
PRKE hide.
Yeah, I think the Wily hide is kind of a nod to Wily Coyote because they said it perfectly matches Coyote's hide. So I guess that's their just kind of clever name for it.
Yeah. Okay. So next
What is
up
the
we've got
Parker
what's that?
I said, what is the Parker hide? I didn't actually see anything on that one.
It's just a dark green.
Okay.
Yeah. So next up we got the Weatherby Mark V Terramark RC, and the price is almost as long as the name. It's a bolt action. It's a really high-end bolt action rifle. Say that right off the bat. So it's $2,800 MSRP, which is pretty steep. But Weatherby is not your mom and pop big green like Walmart rifle. This one is new for 2014, and it's a very customized rifle. And they guarantee these to shoot a 3-shot group of sub MOA when using Weatherby factory premium ammunition, of course. As I twist my imaginary mustache. Actually, I do have a mustache, but I can't twist it. So it comes with a factory target that's been shot, showing the group, and it's signed by Ed Weatherby, and includes a special RC engraved floor plate. And so the RC actually stands for Range Certified. And then the stock is a hand-laminated raised comb Monte Carlo composite stock with a matte gel coat finish, and it's in a desert camo, and it has a Pachmayr decelerator pad on it. The camo is pretty attractive. I mean, it kind of looks like the tan like fiberglass that you'd usually see on like a Bell and Carlson, like the tan versions, and then it's got some brown shadows kind of painted through it. It's pretty attractive.
Yeah, nice little breakup pattern.
Yeah. It looks like the barrel is stainless in this picture that I'm looking at. I do believe that they have the barrel offered in different... Where did I see that? I thought they had it in different finish. But it's a button rifled 3-pound contour free floated stainless steel barrel and with recessed target crown. So okay, yeah, it only does come in stainless. Correction on that. But when if it's 338 Lapua, it's got chrome moly barrel with a complete flat dark earth Cerakote finish. So that's where I read that. If you want 338 Lapua, which you should, I mean, everyone should have one. That actually comes with a Cerakoted finish on there.
Well, I would think that $2,800 for a 338 Lapua is probably the best value in that rifle.
Yeah.
Well, if that's not the starting.
Yeah, I think that's MSRP. So street price, you might be able to find it lower than that.
Yeah.
So it does come in other calibers. The other calibers for that. No problem. Yeah, it's a 240 Weatherby Magnum, 257 Weatherby Magnum, 270 Weatherby Magnum, 7mm Remington mag. Wait, guess 7mm Weatherby mag, 308, 30-06, 300 Win mag, 300 Weatherby mag, 340 Weatherby mag, 378 Weatherby mag, and then of course 338 Lapua. Oh wait, don't forget 338, 378 Weatherby Magnum. Holy cow! So it's almost like everything they have in Weatherby Magnum, they're chambering in this rifle.
Yeah, I think Weatherby's got
I'm surprised there's not a 308. Where's 308 Weatherby Magnum?
Yeah, look.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that the rifling on all those calibers is 1 to 10, except for, I think there's a couple that's, I think the 7mm Remington Magnum is 1 to 9.5, the 308's 1 to 12, and the 338 is 1 to 9.3. So a little bit different the rifling rates for those. What were you gonna say? TJ, were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah. I was just saying that the 338, you mentioned that it was probably the same price. It looks like if you look at their where you listed all the calibers, that it is $200 more, which isn't bad for a 338. Like Chad said, it's still a pretty decent price for a 338.
Yeah. So it's got a cocking indicator.
They also have, looks like a.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was saying I don't think you mentioned in the specs, but it looks like it does have some kind of built-in compensator on the end. If you look just at the picture, which, could be a stock photo or something, but I would imagine they'd have the right picture on their website. So that's kind of neat that it comes with that included.
Yeah, it looks like a muzzle brake.
Yeah, it looks like only in the bottom 3 it says there's a lot of the calibers, the 378 Weatherby and the 338 Lapua and the 338 378 Weatherby. There's a little note down below that says available with the Weatherby accurate brake only.
Okay. So all the other calibers are probably just got a crown on there with no brakes at all.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
Okay. Yeah, like just the other things on it. It's got a recoil lug. That's an integral, obviously. Fully enclosed bolt sleeve, fluted bolt body, floor plate, trigger guard. So it's an internal box magazine, hinged, factory tuned, fully adjustable trigger, and a Feeler target crown. I mentioned that before. I have to ask some of my buddies if they're into precision builds, if this is really like all it's cracked up to be, or whether it's a lot of Weatherby stuff with a Weatherby price tag. As far as weight goes, that's something that's usually, if you're going to lug this into the field, that's something you want to know. When you get into the higher calibers, the 338 and the 3378 and the like, those are 9 pounds. And then when you get down into the 300 Win Magnums, those are like 8 3/4 pounds. The Yacht 6 and the 308, those are 7 1/4 pounds. So those are lighter, as well as the 240. And then the other ones are around 3 1/4 pounds, 8 pounds, and wait, 8 3 1/4 pounds. Sorry, or just under 9 for the rest of them. So not the lightest lightweight hunting rifle that you can carry in the field, for sure. So I hope this thing could shoot far, or else you'd be kind of slinging it over your shoulder and hoping it for a ways. The barrel length on them varies between 24 and 26 inches, and then the the 3 biggest calibers are 28-inch barrels, but the rest of them are either 26 or 24. Length of pull is 13 and 5/8 for all the calibers across the board, and the drop at the comb is 3/4 of an inch, and the same drop at the heel at 1 3/4 inch. Yeah, I think it's a really expensive rifle that I'd probably would take that money and try and build myself. Build a stock like that and use like a Remington Action and try and do all those things like individually, and I don't think I'd get anywhere close to $2,800. But if you're a fan of Weatherby, or you don't want to do all that piecemeal stuff and just buy one right off the rack, that's going to be probably a serious precision rifle for hunting or at the range. This would be a sweet item. So if you want to check that out, go on over to Weatherby's website, weatherby.com, go to products, and under rifles, it's the Mark V or Mark V. Then you go all the way to the Terramark RC, where you'd find that. So next up, we've got something that I hope is a little bit more in everyone else's price range. I consciously knew that the Weatherby was going to be a little bit expensive for everybody, so I wanted to make sure that there was something a little bit cheaper in there for you. So I looked for the best reviewed binoculars, and these are the 2004 best value in their category, and these are Nikon Monarch 7s. So the MSRP is $329.95. I think everyone can afford some binoculars that are just under $400, hopefully. And these won got the most notes for clarity and function of the buttons on a couple different reviews that I've looked at on magazines. So it does come in a 10 to 4, or I'm sorry, 10 by 42. What do you think of these, Chad? Have you taken a look at these?
I was actually just looking at them. It looks like they come in an 8 by 42 also, and a 10 by 42.
Okay.
I've actually always liked looking through Nikon glass. I figure they've been making camera lenses for so long, they can make decent sport optics too. And having a good set of binoculars is just fantastic no matter what kind of hunting you're doing. I mean, if you're scoping out for deer, or even if you're looking for tiny little varmints way off in the distance, having a good set of binoculars is always really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a safety thing too. I mean, a lot of people might think, well, 10 power, shoot, my rifle goes to 12. Why don't I just look through my rifle scope when I see something? Well, I mean, you don't want to be pointing your muzzle at every which direction you think might be an animal. So it kind of breaks one of the gun safety laws: never point your gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. And if you got to look at another hunter that's on another ridge, you don't want to be pointing the rifle at them, and they don't want to be looking through their binoculars at you and then see you pull your rifle up on them. That's going to make them release some tension in their drawers. So it's good to have binoculars for sure, and it's also easier in the truck too, driving around, rolling down your window. I mean, I don't have to explain the benefits of binoculars to most guys.
Exactly. Yeah, I noticed it looks like in their description that they come with lens caps already. It looks like it says flip down objective lens caps, so that's a bonus that that we can have.
Yep.
So
they're also waterproof up to 1 meter for 10 minutes. So if you drop it in a creek or whatnot, it's going to be fine. And they're fog free, and they're O-ring seals. They're sealed with O-rings and purged with nitrogen gas. There's a wide apparent field of view. So it's got a 58.4 degree field of view for the 8s, and for the 10 power it's 60.7 degrees. Extra low dispersion glass for chromatic aberration compensation and brighter, clearer viewing. There's a lot of flowery language here that I'm going to skip over. It's got multi-coated prisms to ensure uniformity across the visible range, which means just basically brighter images and more natural colors. All the lens and prisms are multi-layer coated for brighter images. It's got a scratch-resistant coating that's applied to the outside surfaces of the objective and eyepiece lenses. It's got phase correction coating, coated roof prisms for higher resolution. The outside is kind of a tacky, rubbery kind of feel, but it's not too aggressive or chintzy looking. It's kind of a nice rubbery exterior shell. And it can be fixed to a tripod using an optional tripod adapter as well. So MSRP on the 10 to 42 is $329.95, and the 8 power, it comes a little bit underneath that. I think that if you're looking in the market for binoculars, just like rifle scopes, well, actually a little bit less at rifle scopes now, but there's such a jump in price when you want something that's really, really good, and then if you want something that's just okay, but as far as a little lower in price, like the quality differs so much. I haven't really found binoculars that like hits that sweet spot of like, wow, that's like the most bang for my buck I could possibly get. So of course these are good for under $400, but do they compare to Leicas? No, or some of those other expensive brands? Definitely not. But for the hunter that's going to throw these on the dash of their truck, and they want something that's going to be a little bit better than something you picked up at Walmart, that's something like a Bushnell or some of those other off brands that aren't like a major scope manufacturer, I think these are going to stand out.
yeah, I think they'd probably be a good buy for something kind of in between ground.
Yeah. The I think it was Peterson's hunting magazine. They were reviewing different levels of binoculars, the medium frames and the small frames and whatnot. And I was reading the descriptions, and like they tried to be very succinct with the reviews of each one, but it was like really strict. That they were like, well, the focus was off, and the butt or the knobs were just way too tight or too loose, or it seemed like it wasn't like it was definitely not a paid review. It was very objective, and so they mentioned that the Monarch 7 was like the best of all the categories as far as the operations of the knobs, really good feel, the clarity of the glass, the outside quality. So this got kind of the highest reviews out of that size of medium frame binoculars in that price category. So make sure you check these out. If you go to Nikon's website, nikon.com, you go to products and support, sport optics, and then you look at their lineup of binoculars, the Monarch, and this is the Monarch 7. So now that we've covered something a little bit cheaper, I'm sorry, but once again, I'm covering a product that's kind of a limited release and very, very expensive. Gerber has a new limited edition knife out, and I thought it would be pretty awesome to come to talk about on the show. It's called the Gerber Legend, and it is a sweet hunting knife that has a not so sweet MSRP.
I must say, this knife is beautiful. I mean, the picture they show, but the price tag might not appeal to many people.
Yeah, it's a 4-inch blade length. Overall length is 9 inches. The weight is 6.1 ounces. The blade is got a hardness of 58 to 61 HRC. The handle is made out of G10 and Oregon spalted maple. So it's got like a G10 composite grip, but it's got this spalted maple right from Chad's homeland that's been inlaid, and I've never seen that before. It's kind of unique. And then the sheath is a leather sheath with a synthetic insert. So it's a very beautiful knife indeed. The MSRP is $750. So I don't know of anyone that spends half of that on a hunting knife. But there are some people that aren't into firearms, maybe because they can't own firearms, so they invest in very nice blades. So this would be right up their alley.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where some of the cost comes from. I mean, the process is, it takes 6 hours to make a single blade. Each blade's closely inspected, then flat ground, beveled, hand sanded, and then Ticro wheeled to remove the machine marks, basically kind of polish it up. And then they inlay the maple in those G10 grips. It says something like it's an 8-hour process when they're attached, and then it's sharpened and given a final inspection, and then they build a custom sheath for it, or have somebody make a custom sheath for it. So I see there's labor intensive to make this knife, as some of the ones that are just stamped out aren't.
Yeah, I mean, I could see. I mean, they say that when they're inlaying that Oregon spalted maple, that they make sure the tolerances are so precise to make sure that no moisture, dirt, or humidity can penetrate them. And the polishing of the blade, the clean and oiled, and then the sheath is made by a Portland company, Tanner Goods. That 20 hours crafting each individual sheath by hand. I don't know how I feel about spending a product where you're basically paying for everyone's hourly wage. Like, man, like they need to just not punch the time clock on these. But if it's a limited run on these, so if you want kind of a barbecue knife / quality hunting knife I hope it lasts a few generations, and this would be it for sure.
Yeah. It comes with a gift box and a storybook and an authentic signature card, so I guess, you could give it to somebody for a gift. I'd take one for a gift.
Oh man, my jaw would drop to the floor if I got one of these on Christmas.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe most people wouldn't know, just how much. Hopefully, in that gift box, there's some kind of pamphlet that tells you how many hours goes into it. That it's not just stamped out, because that would just really add to the overall quality of it.
Yeah.
They are coming soon to exclusive retailers. You might have to go to their website and email them asking who those exclusive retailers are. And then, of course, it does have a lifetime warranty. So if there's anything that needs to be sharpened or there's ever any defects or something happens, they'll be able to take care of that for you. But holy cow, I mean, that's one pricey knife right there. I'd feel awfully guilty about shoving that inside of a deer or an elk carcass or chest cavity. Like,
yeah, yeah. I don't even know if I'd probably be too worried about carrying it and losing it than.
Yeah. I mean, how much time and money do you think they'd shave off if they didn't inlay that precious Oregon spalted maple? Like, if it was just a completely G10 grip, I mean, for hunting purposes, I would prefer that to be all one solid just cosmetics alone. I don't want the wood getting discolored and blood stained if I paid an extra $250, $300 for the time it took to put that wood inlay into the grip.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. Oh, I just hope that people who get one of these actually use it for hunting and it not just turns into a display piece. But
yeah,
it's a pretty cool knife. If you're a fan of Gerber, then you're definitely gonna want one of these.
Yeah, I'm not that big a fan.
So if you go to Gerber's website, gerbergear.com, don't go to gerber.com because you're going to be looking at baby food. If you go to gerbergear.com and then go to shop knives, you'll be able to shop the hunting knives and find the Legend. It's pretty cool. So next up, we got the sponsored product spotlight. Action Target sponsors the bandwidth for this podcast, and they also offer our listeners and fans a 15% off discount when they use the promo code Radio15 during checkout. So if you click on one of the affiliate links on the firearmsinsider.tv website, get to their website, and then shop around for the steel that you want or the targets that you want, and then use Radio15 when you're checking out. You can get 15% off your order. So, and continuing with trying to find some kind of target that they offer that's relative to hunting, picking another target stand again, I just noticed that they offer the PT hold in a set of 3, and then there's some cost savings in that. So the regular PT hold, just one of them, costs $75. MSRP, without this promo code or anything like that. So if you order the set of 3, you get them all for $199. So basically $200. So you're saving, was it $25 when you buy 3 of them instead of 1 of them?
Yeah, that's how my math works.
Okay, good. I'm glad both of our math are synchronized. I don't math very good, if you didn't notice, or English for that matter. But basically, the PT hold is a target holder that's got a sturdy, stable foot base and a single clamp mechanism that holds 1x2 strips of wood, and that you're able to then staple your cardboard backing or your plastic backing, and then your paper, and you basically can bring those wherever you need to go. If you're like me and you've tried making some kind of target holder out of PVC pipe, you've already shot already, or somebody shot it already, and it's all your effort's gone to waste. This is steel. If a bullet or splatter hits it, it's not going to damage it. These are going to last you quite a while. And how I relate this to hunting is, you put your 1x2 strips of wood on there. You can get whatever hunting target you want, being, a turkey, a deer, an elk, any kind of target that you use to help sight in your rifle, but then also kind of get attuned to the hunt, making a good shot placement on an animal. You can get those targets and staple them to these. You even take them out into wherever you're hunting during the off season and set them up at different ranges and kind of give yourself a little bit of hunting simulation where you don't know the yardage and you kind of got to guess it and try and get a shot in the lethal area. And then with the heavy bases, they won't tip over. It's got a nice spread at the feet so that if there's heavy winds, your target's not going to tip over very easy. So from corner to quarter, the bases are 36 inches, so a 3-foot span. So that's a pretty decent gape to keep these from falling over. The clamps are not designed to hold 2x2s, so they have to use 1x2s. You could use 1x1s if you needed to, but it pretty much has to be 1 inch deep wood. Can't handle anything bigger than that, or they're not designed to. So I think that it's a pretty good deal if someone's looking for some quality target holders. You shoot the wood up, you just replace the wood, take them off and clamp on new ones, and you're good to go. Also good for throwing in the back of your car. You can unclamp the wood, and then throw the targets away in the garbage or recycle them, and then you throw the bases in your car, and you're good to go.
Yeah, those bases, they look like they're good sturdy bases, like you said, and you could use them. I mean, even not for hunting, if you're like a USPSA shooter or an IDPA shooter or something, you could set up drills with them.
Yeah, you can use them year round too.
Yes.
So that's the great thing about them, is that you can use them during the hunting season, but you can also use them during regular target practice or whatnot. There is one review on their website, and it just says that their agency purchased these target holders a few years ago. They've been a great asset to their firearms training program, easy to use, and they have held up excellent, and they would recommend these to everyone, and they gave it a glowing 5-star review on quality, price, and value. So I'd go with a set of 3 because, you're saving money. It's like buying in bulk. I wish you could buy guns this way, or anything really, and take off $25 to buy 3 of them. That'd work out. So yeah, check these out by going to Action Target's website by clicking on one of our affiliate links, and then you can go to Specialty Targets, and then if you go under Target Holders, you have to click on See All Target Holders in order to see the PT Hold set of 3. So $200 for a set of 3, and use their promo code Radio15, get 15% off that. That's a pretty good sticking deal right there. So next up, let's get into the main topic panel discussion. TJ was having some internet issues, so he had to drop out of the podcast. So I don't think he had a review today anyway. So if you guys don't hear from TJ for the rest of the episode, it's not because Chad and I were talking over him. It's because he had bowed out. So now I'm going to go ahead and let Chad talk about the product that he brought for us this week.
I have a fairly quick review for everybody. I received this SOG hard tomahawk sheath for the tomahawk that I reviewed a while back. I don't even remember how long ago. And so the review is going to be on it today. And what it is, like it says, it's a hard plastic sheath for this tomahawk. And so I'm going to put the tomahawk away for now. And what it is this, and the biggest deal is it's supposed to be belt mounted. You can rotate this sheath to position the tomahawk wherever you would like, and it's supposed to hold it securely. And so what happens is it's got this nifty little latch piece, and you squeeze these, which is kind of hard to do, and you can latch this open to adjust it, put it on your belt. I believe that if you were to put it on like Malay straps or something, it would probably work also. And then inside here, I don't know if you can see these, there's these little black pieces that are adjustable, and you can set them down so you can adjust it for the belt width that you're using. And that's actually pretty cool, and then you can snap it back together. So if you got a really wide belt, really narrow belt, and then you can latch this little latch, and you can't take this apart or rotate it. So in order to use this, you take the tomahawk and you slide the blade in first, and then you clip this up in, and then there's this little piece on the front. You just kind of slide it down, and that keeps it from going anywhere, hopefully. And then once you do that, you're pretty much good to go. I ran into a few problems. I strapped it to my belt, and then I have this handle hanging down, which I didn't really care for. And so, that's why I said that if you wanted to strap it to a backpack or something, it would be far superior. And also, if you try to sit down with it, it doesn't rotate until you push the button and try to rotate it. So, that can cause a problem if you're getting in and out when you're going hunting or something to that effect. So that was kind of not the greatest thing for me. And let's see. The tomahawk does snap firmly in place. It's kind of hard. It's got some little dimples for where the holes in the tomahawk are. So that was a big help. And then besides that, that's about it. I mean, the claim to fame is it's actually a hard sheath as opposed to the fabric soft one that comes with the tomahawk. And the target market is anybody that wants to be able to carry their tomahawk around in some sort of hard sheath. I think the other good use for it would be if you keep it in like camping equipment. Having a hard sheath is usually a good idea, so you can keep it in there too. The features and benefits of this product is protects the blade. It has this tech lock mounting system, which is what they call the mounting system to your belt, and this little variable rotating lock. It supports different belt widths. That's really a good plus. And it's easy to get the tomahawk in and out of the sheath. You really don't get any other colors or options. You get black. And so that's kind of limited on that. There's quite a few reviews on Amazon, and so I put some reviews in from there, and this one is from, the name is SMDMNERN 1900, and what it says is shake, rattle, and fall out. This is not a secure scabbard. The latch can open accidentally, and he's talking about this one, and then the tomahawk will fall out on you or someone below you. The holder rattles, which I didn't find actually, but who knows. I don't trust the gadget. It allows you to spin the scabbard to different angles. All of the components make the tomahawk stick out and catch on brush, making more noise. In one day of harvesting bamboo, it fell out twice, causing me to have to go back and find it. The last time it fell out, it bounced off my calf, and luckily it didn't cut me. Good idea, it just needs to be refined. I have and use several of these tools, so I hope someone makes a sheath, scabbard, or holder for these popular tomahawks. And he gave it 3 out of 5 stars, though. And then the next one I found was on LA Police Gear by Paul, and he gave it 5 of 5 stars, and he says it's a nice, versatile sheath. So I guess you can kind of read the reviews and see what other people are saying. They cost, retail on them is $40 at SOG. The retail price is $24.17 on Amazon, so quite a big difference there. If you need it now, I think Amazon's probably your best bet. Your local sporting goods store, depending on what area you live in, may or may not have something like this, so they may. The pros of it are it protects the blade, it has the swivel mounting system, and it's got the belt mount system that locks it on to whatever you are actually locking it to. Some of the cons are it's not overly secure, so it doesn't like really lock it in place. You can see how this could move out of the way, and then the tomahawk could hit on something and fall out. And then it kind of puts the tomahawk in the way, or at least that's what I found. And so I gave it a 6.5, which is an okay, because of some of the downfalls of just trying to carry a tomahawk. And I think probably the best use for the sheath as opposed to on your belt would be to strap it to a backpack or some sort of pack where it's kind of up out of the way.
Okay.
That's about all on that quick review. Got any questions, Ryan?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all the questions I got. I remember your review of the tomahawk itself.
Yeah, I really like the tomahawk itself. I must admit that's kind of a pretty fancy tomahawk.
Yeah. You need like a cross draw where it like, you know, inverts it on your left side, or like on your, or have it on your back or something.
Yeah, I think you could roll it around to your back and actually turn the thing so it faces up, and that might be a better deal, but I think it's a little kind of top heavy with the handle sticking, you know, 1.5 feet away from where it's mounted.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing that review. I'm sure there's lots of tomahawk owners out there that were curious about it, and now they might be a little bit more well informed before they get one.
Yep. Now I'm waiting for your review.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for this review too. I've actually, as far as the product, I've been eyeing this product for quite a while, maybe about like 3 months or so. I have a Savage 22-250 that I got at a screaming good deal. It's a Model 10, and it's got a Realtree Max 1 camouflage on the stock. Really attractive kind of sage camouflage. And I was looking at scopes to put on this thing. I had a Vortex scope on here at one time. It was that 2.5 to 10 power, and it didn't. I took it out shooting and shooting varmints, and it worked okay, but I felt like it wasn't quite enough magnification power for that round, because 22-250 is just screaming, and it'd be nice to be able to see a little bit farther, make a little bit more precise shots, or get a little bit more detail and field, you know, focus in on what you're aiming at. Especially for shooting at the range past 300 yards, it's nice to have something a little bit farther than 12 power. So I've been looking at scopes that came in the Realtree pattern to match the firearm. You know I could have gotten any scope and then have it sent to be hydro dipped, but I kind of wanted to find maybe that there was a solution out there that was the exact same camouflage pattern, because it's a kind of a popular pattern. There's a handful of scope makers that make scopes in this camo only. So there's the Nikon, and then there's Traditions make some scopes in that pattern. I didn't find any of the Traditions that I liked that had enough magnification, and the Nikons were, I didn't like the BDC that they used, that Nikoplex with the circles that over each other, although that would have made for some interesting like rock chuck or a prairie dog shooting, you know, putting them in the circle, you know, that maybe might have sped it up a little bit. But I don't like BDCs in general, because I like to do the math and know exactly what my load, which is mostly reloaded, what the velocity is, and do the whole ballistic calculator thing and know how many inches it's dropping at a range and convert that into minutes of angle. So that kind of, having a BDC reticle on a scope kind of throws that off. But so I ended up seeing these Burris Predator Quest scopes. Now the Predator Quest brand is kind of a brand for Les Johnson, and he's like a world-renowned coyote caller. He's got his own show, Predator Quest. He's got his own line of calls and whatnot. Basically, he had this scope line that was from uh, Simmons. Simmons was putting out the Predator Quest scopes. The quality wasn't all that great. Some people were starting to complain. Just Simmons' quality of scopes during that time period, whatever line that was, it wasn't as good quality as many people had hoped. So then he teamed up with Burris. Burris got the product line, and they started to basically offer the same thing but on their scopes. And it is pretty much, if you're familiar with Burris lines of scopes, it's the Burris Full Field E1, like almost to a T. The difference is it's available in the camo pattern. It also comes in black. It comes with an ARD, an anti-reflective device. Basically, it screws into the objective of your scope, and it's got like a honeycomb pattern that's in it. So it's kind of a technology you more see with military snipers and military optics, but it's to prevent scope glare being seen from your scope at different angles. But yet, because all the honeycomb is cut out and you're looking straight through it, it doesn't alter the amount of light that you're seeing or alter your picture in any way. So it's really cool that it comes with it. The caps are, I mean, the turrets are capped, and that's also good too when you're walking through brush. It's really a pain in the butt, I've realized, to have your big old tactical turrets and you walk through the brush. You've got your gun that you pulled out of your gun case. It's so easy for your gun to come off zero and if you not check it, you take a shot and go, well, what the heck was that flyer? Oh, whoops. You know, my elevation or my windage got set off zero. It must have bumped into it. These are capped, so you don't have to worry about that. Actually, I have it right behind me. So here's my Savage, and then it's got the scope on top, so you can kind of see the pattern matches really well. It looks like an awesome Predator scope, right? The only other things that the Predator Quest line offers compared to the other Burris is just the ARD, and then it's got the decal on the eyepiece of the Predator Quest with the eyes, kind of like Predator eyes. So I mean, a decal on there isn't exactly a big difference compared to the full field E1 that you could get. But the fact that this comes with the ARD is pretty cool, and the camo, so it was right up my alley and what I was specifically looking for. So I was eyeing the price on it. The MSRP on the one that I wanted, which was the highest of the magnifications, they offer it in 2:7 by 35, 3:9 by 40, and what I have, the 4.5 to 14 by 42. So that's going to be a little bit higher end, higher price because of the higher magnification in the size of the scope. So this one MSRP's for $456. However, I've been watching it. Usually it's around like $310, $309 online. I was looking at it on Optics Planet's website, opticsplanet.com, and a little pop-up window came up. They must have seen that I've looked at the scope maybe 20 times in the last 6 months. But a little pop-up, it said, "Are you interested in this item? Like, chat with an agent to basically get a discount or get this item at a lower price." So I thought it was kind of fishy, but I thought, well, it's obviously Optics Planet. It's not some spam, so I thought I'd go ahead and have it, give it a try. And 5 minutes into the conversation, they just asked for which product I was looking at. I gave them the SKU of this one, and they said that they can give it to me for $277. So from an MSRP of $456 and then a street price you usually see of $310, they could do it at $277 and free shipping with their just standard was it like 5 to 7 business day shipping. So really good. It basically took like another 15% off the price, which I thought was a really sweet deal. And then like a couple weeks later, I saw that they had some kind of like $25 off or your purchase of over $250. So it's basically he gave me a deal before the deal came out, and that's how they were able to do that. And I asked him if I could let my listeners know about that, and he said definitely let them know that you could, if you're looking at a product on Optics Planet's website, you can fire up the chat, tell them what you're looking at, and if they can get you a better deal on it, offer you a little bit more of a discount, they can typically do that. So the price was right enough for me to finally pull the trigger after looking at this for, like I said, maybe like 4 or 5 months. So I got it, and I'm very pleased with the scope, and I got it specifically for shooting coyotes and other predators. The reticle is the Ballistic Plex E1 reticle, is what they call it, and I've got a picture of it on the review, so you guys can actually see what that reticle looks like. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I actually have a little pamphlet that actually shows you what that reticle looks like. So right there, but actually that's kind of zoomed in. It's not really realistic. It's got BDC on it. So when I say BDC, that of course means ballistic drop compensation. Here's kind of a more accurate depiction of it. It's got a reticle that's kind of floating in the middle of your view there. It doesn't have posts going all the way to the edges, so it's kind of a very open reticle. You know, you could track moving targets, or you know, basically glance the area for targets a little bit easier because you don't have big, thick duplex sized or like the thick posts that duplex scopes typically have, or duplex reticles, I should say. So it does have windage points on the outsides of the. It's got 5 dope adjustment points, are basically going down the post, and then it's got windage dots just on the outside of those. So how that comes out to is in MOA, the first set of dots, so your first hash down is 3.2 minutes of wind drift holdover, and then when you go to the next one, it goes to 7.6. The next one after that is 14.1, and the next one after that is 23.2 minutes of angle. So those are actually, supposedly, they're there to compensate for a 10 mile per hour crosswind. I haven't really gotten a wind meter and tested out to see if it's really accurate. The day I did zero this scope onto this rifle at the range, it was blowing quite heavily, so I was able to try it out a little bit, but just at 300 yards, and it seemed to be kind of close. But 22-250 is a faster cartridge than this scope is also. Of course, you can put on any gun, any caliber you want, but they have ballistic tables to show, you know, how that BDC correlates to 223, 53 grain Hornady VMAXs, 223 Remington Power Locked 50 grain, 243 Winchester Federal V-Shock Game Kings, and then it's got 22-250 like 50 grain VMAXs, and from Black Hills or S-Form. So basically, the 22-250 is moving faster than 223 or 243. So it's going to be affected by wind less. So they've kind of outlined that for you. They're assuming that your feet per second is, you know, 3,700 or 3,900, which is about right, depending on if you're shooting a 50 grain bullet. I shoot heavier bullets that move a little bit slower, maybe about 36. So it's a little different there, but it's basically telling you, what you can expect when you set your zero. So supposedly, if you set your zero at 200, the first mark down is 300. The next mark after that is 400, then 5, and then 6. And then I'm not sure if the bottom of the post is 7. They're not saying if it is or not. But that's assuming that you set your 0 to 200. So for if you're shooting like a 223, you might want to set your 0 at 100, and then it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 500 degrees, or 500 yards respectively. That's not always exact with just if you're hand loading and you've got different velocities and different types of bullets with different ballistic coefficients. it's all a wash basically when you start reloading, or you're not buying the exact ammunition that they call out in their manuals. So it's kind of really meant as a reference point, and that's the most important thing that I could share with people. This scope I kind of chose because I thought those windage points would be really good holdover for a running target, like a coyote that's on the run. If the coyote's running, about in close to 10 miles per hour, if I could use that holdover to make a correct, leading or point of aim, and I thought that would be useful. I haven't gotten to test that out yet, but I plan on doing that this winter. Obviously, I'm wearing my snow coat right now for hunting coyotes, so I plan on testing that out and letting you guys know how it works out. Like I said, I haven't taken this out farther than 300 yards yet. I just took it to the range to zero it and then shoot at 300 a little bit. It's really clear. I really thought that the grade of the glass clarity was pretty good for the price point, as it should be. So I'll just run through the Firearms Insider main key points. So the claim to fame is world champion coyote caller Les Johnson and Burris have teamed up to produce a rifle scope uniquely designed to take out fast-moving predators. The target market is, of course, varmint hunters, varmint and predators alike. Features and benefits available in the 3 different magnification ranges that I already told you about. The ballistic Plex E1 reticle is meant to compensate for wind, elevation, and moving targets up to 500 yards. First-rate glass, indexed matched lenses. So when they put the lenses in there, they're indexed correctly. It's got a patented high lume multi-coating, and then it's supposed to be glare resistant in itself with the coating. And then they throw in that screw-in anti-reflection device to really cut down on the glare. Those must have been when Les was talking to Burris, like, what are things that really make this a predator scope? And, the reticle has something to do with that. But also, hey, coyotes are real spooky, and if you've got a scope with like a 50 mil lens on there, or above 40 mil lens, and the sun catches it just right, that's going to be unnatural for the coyote, and he's going to be wary of you, not come closer, or just boogie out completely. So really cutting down on the glare, it seems like it was their number one goal in designing the scope, or this, I guess, a variation of an existing scope that Burris has. I keep saying that because it's not a brand new scope. It's just kind of a reskinned and modified a little bit. It's nitrogen purged, waterproof, shock, and vibration proof, and it comes with the Burris Forever warranty. I mentioned the cap turrets. The other aesthetic options available, you can get it in matte black, and then of course you can have it painted or dipped in whatever camo you want, or you can get it in camo, which is only the Realtree Max 1 pattern. What other reviews are saying, this is kind of the reason why I bought the scope, is I could not find a single review on it online, and it frustrated the heck out of me, because I wanted to know whether or not it was garbage or not, whether I should get it, it would be worth the investment. I've looked at various Predator forums, and they all, when you look up Predator Quest, they all are talking about the Simmons line, but there's no updated reviews on the Burris line of scopes. So when I got this good deal, I knew I had to buy it, and I had to write an official review. And I'm going to be like, basically spamming this review on all the other, like, Brownells, Midway, Optics Planet, things like that, so people can actually know how good this scope is, and that it's, worth the price, and it's nothing like the Simmons line that they had before. So there are no other reviews I found. Price point, like I said, MSRP of $456, retail of $277 at Optics Planet when you talk to an agent and get them to give you a break. If you need it now, you could get it at Brownells for, I think they had it at $309, $310, but I would do the Optics Planet for the cheaper price. I don't know if Brownells you could talk to an agent and get it cheaper. That would be awesome if they did. The pros and cons. So I gave this scope a 7.5 because I wanted to give it a higher review. I really did, but because I've experienced higher end scopes, I've played with Night Forces, of course, and I've got a lot of vortexes, like you guys probably already know. So I've kind of got like a standard of scopes now, and I kind of understand because I've got some in different price categories. So I'm not going to just automatically like kick dirt on all the scopes that cost under $400 because they don't have all the cool bells and whistles that vortex scopes do. So I'm keeping that in mind, folks. But I'm giving it a 7.5, and I'll tell you why. The pros, first of all, the elevation and windage turrets, they're very solid. There's a slight resistance when you turn them and positive detents, so you can actually have really positive adjustments, click adjustments that you can kind of hear, but mostly feel in your fingers. And that's something that I really like in my scopes for hunting or shooting at the range. When I'm zeroing or when I make an adjustment on my turrets, I want to be able to feel each click so I can translate, okay, 1/4 or 1 click equals 1/4 MOA. I made 2 clicks, that equals 1/2 MOA, or so on and so forth. So that's really important to me, and this scope seemed like it had really good detents right out of the box, and it wasn't too loose where you can just spin them freely with relative ease. It was kind of a nice resistance, and actually I had Sportsman's Warehouse zero this, and I hope they're listening. Well, they had some kid put this scope on this gun for me with the rings that I bought that day, and they supposedly bore sighted it for me, and boy were they off, like way off. I shot like probably about 6 or 7 rounds to realize that I'm not even hitting paper, I'm not even hitting target, I'm not even sure I'm hitting the berm. So I pulled the bolt out and I just did it the old-fashioned way, set it up on bags, kind of got off the bench, stood behind it, looking right through the bore, with the gun level and me not touching it, and then looking up at the scope and seeing that they were way off. So anyway, I kind of did it the manual bore sighting way with actually my eye and the bore. That's where the term bore sighting comes in. And I got it zeroed real quick right after that. So anyway, I had to really crank the windage for some reason. Maybe the person at Sportsman's Warehouse had it set way off, so I actually had to make several, maybe 3 complete revolutions of the windage adjustment knob, and it felt really good and almost maybe a little stiff, but it's a brand new scope, so I understand that. But it wasn't impossible, and it wasn't too easy. It kind of just felt just right. I'm like the Little Mr. Riding Hood for scopes. Not too much, not too hot, not too cold. Gotta be right in the middle, as far as some of these things are. That was a weird reference. I'm gonna cut that out. So the included ARD honeycomb is a great addition. If you don't like it, you can always unscrew it, and you can get scope caps, and they fit right over the top of it. And so that way you're able to have a scoped objective also with the ARD, so that's kind of like 2 lines of protection. The ARD, my most concern is, because I pulled up to the screen or the camera as best as I can, but it's kind of a really thin metal, and so I'm concerned that if I have this over my shoulder and a branch or a stick goes into it, or maybe in the safe, I'm really concerned about the metal starting to bend or warp in those honeycombs because they're just so fine. So if you're kind of rougher on your scopes or your gun, and this is meant for like a truck gun, I would take that ARD off actually, because it's not going to hold up very well. It's just that metal is so thin that I think just one wrong kind of step into the brush and a stick getting in there and jamming down in there is gonna cause those to open up and kind of get weird. Picture it like you're on your car. There's usually a really thin grill that goes into your air filter and stuff, and all the bees kind of get caught in there, and sometimes a bee or a bug will hit that really hard and kind of cause those the tolerances to open up on those little grids or grates. Kind of feel the same thing would happen with this ARD, that just the wrong branch is going to cause that to open up and just bugger it all up. I'm already noticing that the finish on them is actually starting to come off, just with the light handling that I've already done. So I just brushed that up with like a black Sharpie. But That might be something to keep in mind too. It's a great concept, but maybe the quality and the rigidity of that material is a little bit questionable. So that leads into the cons. That was actually a con that it just developed, but the parallax adjustment is difficult. It's, like most scopes, unfortunately. It's the large ring right on the objective. It's got a little bit of raised texture, but not a whole lot. So, I mean, when you're actually behind the scope, reaching out and adjusting your focus, it's kind of hard to do. I wish that they had a side turret like high-end like Vortexes have. I understand that adds to your cost. That's why they obviously didn't add that on there. But I really like having it on the side versus having it on the end of the scope. If you're hunting and there's like a coyote's coming out at 100 yards, you want to be focused in on them. If they come out at 500 yards, you don't want to have to reach out and adjust the front of your scope. You're moving your hand. That's extra movement that can catch their eye. It's almost like you want to just set this at like 200 yards and then not touch it. If you're shooting at a coyote that's farther away and he doesn't see you and you're in good cover, maybe you can reach your hand out there and adjust it to 500 yards just so you have a finer, crisper view of the coyote and what's around him. But other than that, I'd leave it at one range, and not adjust it from there, just because it's kind of a bugger to get to. You almost want to get one of those big magnification throw levers and just throw it on the front, just so you can adjust that really quickly. But that would look really goofy, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. So the parallax yardage markings also are really hard to read because of this camo finish. They are on the black version. It seems like they're easier to read. I don't know whether they're white or red. I can't remember, but it's really hard to see. They're just kind of barely engraved into the scope and kind of whatever color. Actually, there's no the paint didn't go in there, so it's kind of got like a really faded brownish orange, burnt orange paint fill on those, and it's really difficult to see what you're at when you're adjusting your focus to begin with. So I mean, maybe take like a white crayon. I don't know what that would do to the finish, but try and fill those in, maybe with like white nail polish. But then again, I'm not sure if you want to use nail polish remover to really. Anyway, forget that. Those are another negative because it's really hard to see what you have it set to. Another reason why I just say to just leave it at one setting and don't move it around. For the cons, I also mentioned that the glass clarity, although it's good, it's still noticeably less bright and clear to some other competitors that are on par in this price category. So like the Vortexes that are in the $300 range, like the certain like Diamondbacks and whatnot, their glass is still clearer than this scope. But it's by a slim margin. It's definitely still a great optic, and it lets some light in. It lets a lot of light in, but not better or on the same level as say like a Vortex scope. So that's why I gave it a 7.5. It's still a great all-around scope. I just wouldn't get it specifically for a very like high-end precision scope. It's a hunting scope is really what it's only meant to be for, I would say. It'd do great at the range too. I only wanted it for shooting coyotes, and I think it's even though I'm not a fan of the BDC, it's just enough to get me in there, I think. So that's my very long-winded review on the scope, which I tend to do on scopes because I'm kind of like an optics nerd so much.
So Ryan, I didn't hear you mention what power is that BDC calibrated for?
That's a very good point, actually, because it is second focal plane, so the subtensions on those are only good for the highest rating. So I believe this manual says it's only good for the highest power, which is 14.
Okay, that would make sense. A lot of them are. So.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I didn't really see that all too well. I mean, I kind of know that in like automatically in the back of my head that, don't try and zero this thing and test out the dope marks, at a lower setting because it ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
but I believe it's probably 14.
Yeah, I couldn't. I looked at your review and couldn't find it, and then I kind of glanced at the Optics Planet site, and I didn't see anything there either. So I didn't actually head over to Burris yet.
Yeah, that's a good question though. That's a really good question. Yeah, I just always set it on the highest setting anyway because it's generally assumed a second focal plane scope is only going to be good at that farthest range. Something I did not mention is that you can reset the knobs to 0. There's no like 0 stop, to prevent them from going any farther from 0. But what you do is you take like a safety pin or a pin or something, and you place it in a small hole located in the dials, and then keeping a firm grip on the knob, you can use your pen or safety pin or whatever to turn the dial back to 0. So you do have the ability to do that, which is kind of nice. Once you have it zeroed, your load, you can set it back to 0, so that way if you need to adjust for any other reason, you're not going to use your reticle to make adjustments, you're actually using your scope to make adjustments, or you switch loads and it's a little hotter, or maybe a little slower and you need to bump it down a couple minutes of angle, or a half minute of angle, you can do that. So and then the scope caps, I just got Burris, Butler Creek scope caps, and I just, I forget the numbers. I had them written down, but I threw it away already. But very easy to slip on there, and a great addition too. And I believe Sam reviewed these Butler Creek scope caps a couple podcasts ago. I think if you're buying a scope at a sporting goods store that has these, you're doing yourself an injustice by not picking out the right size scope caps while you got your scope and it's not on your gun zeroed already. Makes it really easy, just like, oh, I'm buying this scope, let's go through these and find the right size. So
yeah, it's a lot easier than taking your scope off and taking it down there.
Yeah, it definitely is. So the next item that we're bringing up is actually part of the tech gadget or app segment, and I think a lot of people. This is the last segment of the hunting podcast. So next week we're not going to do a hunting thing. We'll focus on just anything new, be a little bit more generalized. But I wanted kind of a creme de la creme like product to show up on this segment, and so I picked some really high tech Leica binocular rangefinders, and these are the GeoVid HD-B42. So these are binocular rangefinder combination hybrid, and the MSRP is $3,000. So again, I apologize to everyone else that hates it when I bring up really expensive products, because it doesn't do them any favors. But Leicas are cool, and having a rangefinder and binocular combination, I mean, if you're going to spend $1,500 on a rangefinder, $1,500 on a binocular, you could, basically buy them all in one and get a Leica, and it's going to be really, really good. So it features an extremely long range capacity for the range finding. It's 1,825 meters, and they call it advanced ballistic compensation. So for all your hunting needs, it's got point of aim correction for various reticles and bullet drop compensators. It's got a micro SD card that allows you to actually input your own ballistic parameters into the unit. They've got a very bright, clear, easily readable LED display with automatic adjustment to lighting conditions. So when it's darker, it's going to be brighter. When it's brighter, it's going to be dimmer. And the user benefits from an extremely short measuring time, and the maximum of that measuring time is 0.3 seconds. So I know if you've got old rangefinders like I do, you're holding it up, you're holding down the button, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're kind of fighting like, well, is it not enough reflection? Am I, kind of putting the bead on the wrong spot? These are supposed to have a maximum of 0.3 second read time. Really nice. The contrast, it's supposed to be high contrast imaging with an outstanding depth and plasticity, as well as extremely high light transmission and neutral vivid colors thanks to their Perger Poro prisms and Aqua Dura coating, kind of more flowery optics language that I'm not really all that into. So it's, let's see what else. It's got 2-button operation, so just 2 buttons. It's got eye cups with 5 click stop settings for an open ergonomic bridge construction. So as far as opening and closing the binocular, which ensures fatigue-free viewing. So it's kind of nice that they're actually click stop, and so you can have it set to one setting and kind of remember it. And of course, the outside, they're meant to be lightweight and resilient and rugged, and they've got a fully rubber armored magnesium body. And magnesium is, it's not as strong as aluminum, but it's a heck of a lot lighter. It's as light as plastic, but being way stronger than plastic. They're starting to make AR-15 lowers in magnesium, so that kind of goes to show you what that is. So the ABC ballistic system, which is the rangefinder, which interests me the most, as probably most of you, it's got 3 options that you can choose from. It can account from the angle of inclination, so if you're shooting uphill or downhill. It has a temperature and air pressure, plus it's got ballistics for a highly calculated impact point correction. So if you're in the mountains or on a regular plane, it's gonna actually take those temperature and air pressure readings and factor that into the ballistics of that rangefinder. I want to ask you if you have any questions or comments on that. What do you think?
Yeah, you forgot to mention that it allows you to create your own custom ballistic data set and import it into the GeoVid, which I thought, that just makes it even that much cooler for $3,000 or whatever it is. But I was looking at that going, I so want one of these just because.
Yeah, I thought I mentioned that when I was talking about the little micro SD that can go in there.
Yeah, who knows? You may have. I might have missed it.
Okay. Of course, it can also, you can change the display format for adjustment. So it displays the number of clicks required to adjust the reticle. So you can have it at 1 MOA, 1/3 MOA, 1/4 MOA, or 10 millimeter by 100 millimeter, or by 100 meters, or 5 millimeters by 100 meters. That's foreign to me. That must be some kind of strange European measurement of adjusting your scopes.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah. Like where Leica is made, they're I thought they were made somewhere in Europe.
That's what I was thinking also.
Yeah. Excuse me. So they're basically really nice glass. Like, above all else, if you get like the non-rangefinder, non-technological stuff, if you just get regular Leica binoculars, the glass you're going to notice is going to be really clear, really crisp, and it might even, if you have a favorite pair of binoculars, it might even astonish you as to some of the issues that you didn't notice in your old binoculars. And of course, that comes at a price point. All their optics are generally really expensive, but I think rangefinder binocular combinations are really cool, especially this one that can be so customized, and it actually tells you, oh, you're shooting 680 yards. You've already got your ballistics put in there. It's actually going to tell you okay, you need to adjust for this many MOA, or this many clicks. If your scope's 1/3 MOA per click, which is kind of atypical, you can have that programmed into these units, and they'll actually tell you adjust your scope or your point of impact this much. But usually you do that with your turrets. So pretty cool stuff. So if you go over to us.leica, Leica-camera.com, and then you can look at these. They're under Sport Optics, Rangefinders, and the Leica GeoVid family. So, what were you going to say, Chad?
Oh, I was going to say that these things, I bet, are just beautiful. I mean, to look through them and with the ballistics functions that they actually will do are just amazing, really.
Yeah. Yeah, probably very worth the kidney you're going to have to sell to be able to afford one.
Maybe a left arm and a kidney.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need 2 kidneys, but I definitely need this. So anyway, the listener feedback for this week, we actually had a couple new reviews. We got a 5-star review from LD Cuts. He said, "Awesome show, can see this becoming big in the future. Keep it up, guys." So thanks for that. And then we also have Live to Climb. He said light and informative, and he also gave us a 5-star review. He said, "Love this podcast. Great information about anything firearms related. The new product updates are honest and right on point. Keep up the great work, boys." So thanks for doing those reviews. Of course, those go directly into the pool for the Negrini compact handgun case giveaway. So really appreciate those reviews. And if you're listening to this right now and you haven't left us a review and you'd like the ability to win a Negrini handgun case, I suggest you also leave us a review because your time is running short. I've been plugging the same podcast for a couple episodes now. This one I'm going to go rogue and say you guys need to listen to the Big and Wild Outdoors promo, or I'm sorry, the Big and Wild Outdoor one more time. The Big and Wild Outdoors podcast. And the website for that is bigandwildoutdoorsradio.com. It's a great show about hunting and some fishing and some stuff in the outdoors. It's a great podcast to listen to. The hosts Braden Gunn and Glenn Kinman are, talking about hunting, fishing, camping, airboating, mudding, and their shows kind of sometimes run a little lengthy, but just great radio to listen to, and it has to do with the great outdoors and some of the practices that we all love and enjoy. So make sure you listen to that. Again, that's bigandwildoutdoorsradio.com. So in conclusion, send questions or comments to myself, Cross at firearmsradio.tv, or podcast at firearmsinsider.tv. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at www.firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider website to look at reviews that get added each week, and also future industry coverage at big events like NRA Show, SHOT Show, things like that. And that's www.firearmsinsider.tv. Make sure you check that out, and also find Firearms Insider on Facebook and give them a like too, so you can stay up on all this stuff. So that's the show. Thank you, Chad, once again for joining me.
Oh, sure, no problem. Anytime you need me.
I appreciate that, buddy. As always, everybody have a safe week. Stay warm. Temperatures are dropping out there. So stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.
Bye.